In 1980, Soft Soap became the first company to sell liquid hand soap to consumers. However, there was nothing about the soap that could be legally protected. How did they prevent industry giants from copying the idea for over a year? I'll say that again. In 1980, Soft Soap became the first company to sell liquid hand soap to consumers. However, there was nothing about the soap that could be legally protected. How did they prevent industry giants from copying the idea for over a year?
Did they make it really bad? So it just didn't really work.
I mean, they said that it was only a year later that people followed them. So It doesn't seem like you could get that much of a lead in a year. Unless the technology for some reason is quite difficult, like making a pump.
Did they market it as something else so that for a whole year nobody knew it was supposed to be soap and they wouldn't try copying it? You know, it was available to buy, they could test it out on the market, but people were eating it, and then they'd reveal 1 year later, aha! We're finally able to copyright the "don't eat it" lovely hand soap.
and sales had been so high up to that point that they got that, they got a real head start commercially, didn't they?
My sister once convinced me that a bar of like cream-coloured soap was solid white chocolate.
How far did that convincing go?
Yes.
I sniffed it and went, no, it wasn't. But, I came close.
I wonder if there is something in the pump thing, Mithuna, whether it's to do, I mean, it's not the most advanced piece of tech, is it, a hand pump?
Well, it depends when this was, because, I mean, mass producing
1980.
that... Oh, 1980, okay.
I think.
So before 1980, there was no liquid soap, and all soap was like that solid bar of soap at your grandma's house.
All consumer soap, certainly.
When you say consumer soap, actually, sorry, what, as in this is just for people buying it for their houses, or does that include kind of, I don't know, schools and public places and stuff like that?
No, this would be the sort of thing that would be on sale in the supermarket. To like the individual household.
So if you're another company, you see a liquid soap come on the market and you've got your old bars and you're like, oh no, it's the old horrid hairy bars. And and they've got liquid soap and that's so much nicer and I'm buying it. We should produce that. But we can't.
Yeah.
Or we won't, one of those, but it's not a legal issue. It's not a legal issue. It's not a legal issue. The reason...
But you have correctly done some character work there and identified what the other soap companies and chemical companies would have been thinking. We want to rip that off, but we can't because...
And it's can't but not won't.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't produce bottles. They couldn't get the bottles. No.
Now, Jay at this point is bouncing up and down in his chair.
And I don't think it's because he's excited about my bottles suggestion. Jay, what is it?
Well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But could it be that it takes precisely a year for the product to form?
I was so sure that you got it there, Jay. And unfortunately...
only because I got excited.
Yeah, it's just because you got excited. Mark is actually quite close there.
The bottles thing. We're back to the bottles.
We're back to the bottles.
Okay, so they couldn't, they weren't... the basic answer, which is not going to be because of the way this podcast works, is that they just, it takes that long to start producing a new product. That's just the lag time. It's like, God, how do we do this? Oh, I've got to figure it out. Okay, well, then building a factory.
Let's assume that the competitors could have pivoted to this pretty quickly.
Okay.
You were talking about the bottles, and you seem to have forgotten the bottles.
Remind me what you said about the bottles, Mark.
I just said they weren't set up to put things in bottles. They had to find bottles. I mean,
no, that's not what you said, Mark. You didn't say
what did I say?
They had to find bottles.
Oh, well, that was what I was thinking. Is that the bit I missed that was the good bit?
That's the bit you missed. That was the good bit.
They had to find bottles. Well, Jay started bouncing around. That thought was at the front of my... And then Jay's jumping up and down with his, how long it takes to brew soap idea. Because, again, it's back to consuming it. Okay, so it's difficult to find bottles, really?
Maybe, because, I guess these soap companies didn't have to have bottles before, but maybe this other company was like pivoting from being like some sort of like Coca-Cola company or something like that. And now they have put soap into those bottles.
That's a good
When
idea.
you're thinking like liquid soap, what's that sold in? Obviously a bottle, but...
With a plunger.
What do you mean by the plunger?
Well, there's probably a technical name. The bit that you push down and it squirts it out. Is that not called the plunger?
I'll go with... We're going to call it the plunger now for the rest of this show.
I usually find it in the fridge. So that bit is a little...
Hand pump. Little hand pump on the top, yes.
Of course, yes. The hand pump bit is obviously feels like the most technical bit that previous soap bar manufacturers would not have been set up to do. And obviously because I mean, I don't know about how that works, but you've got to get for the viscosity, you've got to have the right sort of hand pump, haven't you?
You do have to have the right kind of hand pump.
There's a slight technicality to this hand pump mechanism, one would assume.
But something that's probably more interesting than, did you know it takes about a year to get it just right?
Is it about the material that the bottles are made out of and the availability of that? No.
Oh, you're very close. Just the last bit of the question. How did they prevent industry giants from copying the idea for over a year?
They bought a year's worth of supply of all the bottles on the planet just for themselves?
Yes, they did, Jay. Absolutely right.
Wait, how?
Soft soap was sold in bottles with a hand-operated pump at the top. At the time, there were only 2 manufacturers of plastic hand pumps in the US, and this is the 1980s. So they couldn't really go for international trade here. This was just US manufacturing. Their parent company, Minnetonka Corporation, raised all the money they could and placed an order of 100 million hand pumps.
Wow. Can you imagine if that hadn't paid off?
Right?
Yeah, then they just go to, Sweden and say, oh, we'll use your hand pump factory, thanks. And also, ours smells better. Bad luck. Enjoy your debt.
100 million is ludicrous. Like, that's like 1 in 3 people in America now they expected to just buy the soap.
Did they just block out future orders, or did they all arrive like the next day and they had to store them?
I would imagine it wasn't that big a problem because that created enough backlog in the factories for a year.
Wow.
That was how they blocked it. They simply bought all the manufacturing capacity of both hand pump factories for a year. So any other company launching, they could launch liquid soap, but it wouldn't have the hand pump.
I mean, that is a really ballsy move, though, isn't it? I mean, I'm really impressed by that. That sounds commercially terrifying to do that. You have to be so sure your soap is going to... Nobody's used it yet. It hasn't caught on. But then, I mean, hairy bars of soap are bad, so...
It caught on well enough that after millions of dollars in sales, the brand was sold to Colgate-Palmolive in 1987 for $61 million. The Lateral book is out now. Just click on the link to get your copy.